The high cost of living is the central issue for many Israelis involved in the social protest movement. But why are prices here so high on everything from food to fuel to housing? We came to Hebrew University in Jerusalem to get some answers from economist Omer Moav. Last year, he was an advisor to the current finance minister. I began by asking him what changes he thought needed to be made.
The key thing I would say two things. One is change priorities, and the other is increased competition. So I find it ironic that the protesters criticize Netanyahu for being too libertarian, or what they call neoliberal, whatever that means, and that the approach is too much in terms of market economy. But in fact, Netanyahu failed, and he's not the only one, also the governments before him failed in creating here a real competitive environment, which implies that prices in Israel are extremely high. We pay here much more for anything, going from cars to deodorant and dental floss, and sardines and yogurt. Things are extremely expensive in Israel because the economy is controlled by a small number of strong families, and they work like a monopoly, so prices are high.
What can be done about these monopolies, and why are they so dangerous?
What bothers me is the concentration of control. And the concentration of control actually implies that we're always being treated by monopolies or cartels, and prices are high. And the other side of it is also that the demand for labor is low, because what they do, these monopolies, they reduce production of goods and services, implying that there is less demand for labor on the one hand side, pushing our salaries down, saving on their costs, and on the other hand side, increasing prices of the goods and services. And then as the simple person from the middle class has to suffer twice on income and the cost of living. And I think there's a lot that could be done to improve the situation. And I find it ironic that the protesters are actually against the competitive economy. The only way to reduce prices and increase wages is by having a competitive economy.
Where does the problem of housing come into the economic picture?
Well, the housing problem is, I think, just a simple result of two things. One, the Israeli population is growing all the time, so the demand for housing is all the time increasing. The other hand side, there is somewhat of a bubble at the moment. It's not just simple demand and supply that resulted in a huge increase in prices within 3 years. So there is a bit of a bubble here. It's related, of course, to the low interest rate. So people move into investing in housing. And there is a huge gap in the prices of houses and the rental rate between the center and the periphery. So the main issue is the center, of course. People want to live in Tel Aviv, and the rents in Tel Aviv are very high. But there is a shortage, so it's very hard to do anything significant about it instantly. In the long run, we need a larger supply of housing. That's the only way to really reduce prices. Everything else that is demanded by the protesters is just magic. It doesn't really work.
A lot of people are blaming Prime Minister Netanyahu for the current problems. Do you think he's to blame?
Well, I don't know how much Netanyahu is willing to stand on his principles and what he believes. So there is the Netanyahu used to be a very strong finance minister who did the right things, or at least tried to do the right things. And there is Netanyahu as prime minister that tries to survive and to compromise. And I don't see why he needs to compromise with a group of people that were not elected by the democratic system in Israel. So they protest. Okay, I think that he should listen to them. And I get a bit worried that in order to survive, he's trying to do things that he knows are wrong to the Israeli economy.
Do you think the social protest movement could actually lead to some real changes?
I think that there is an opportunity here to do important things, and I really hope that the government, and Netanyahu as the prime minister, would take the opportunity, and rather than just doing some small things to, to say, here, I gave you something to the protesters, will take this opportunity and use this pressure to really do the right things, reduce the power of the labor unions, change priorities, make the economy more competitive. There's a lot of things that could be done, and that's a fantastic opportunity, but we need someone who is a leader. And I don't know if Netanyahu is a true leader. I doubt it.